Factsverse presents School calls cops after learning an odd detail about one student's past. If you're like many children, you grow up with fond memories of your childhood. You remember taking family trips, sitting down for family dinners, learning to ride a bike, playing kick the can or capture the flag in your backyard. Can you imagine if you found out when you got older that your entire childhood was a lie? That's what happened to a boy named JJ. JJ Mangina had a normal childhood growing up in Cleveland, Ohio. He had a pretty normal childhood that started in Alabama. JJ's father, Jonathan, was dating JJ's mother. The couple wasn't married, but for a while things were going great. They were both dedicated to raising JJ together, but soon things started to fall apart. According to JJ's father, Jonathan, JJ's mother abandoned the family when he was just 5 years old. Jonathan says that her leaving left him devastated, but he knew that he had to be strong for his son. To get away from the bad memories in Alabama, Jonathan packed everything up and he and his son JJ moved to Cleveland, Ohio so that they could have a fresh start. Even though JJ grew up without a mom, he did have a wonderful childhood. JJ attended Cleveland High School where he received straight A's. He was also an incredible athlete. He played on the high school football team and was a great player. He was happy with his life in Cleveland. JJ was excited during his senior year. He was doing well in school and it was time to start applying to colleges. He was excited about his future and because of his good grades, he could probably go to any college of his choice. When he started filling out his college applications, JJ realized there was a lot more to it than he thought. He met with his school counselor so that she could help him get everything in order. JJ needed to have his father's tax information for the applications, so he brought those to school, and suddenly that raised red flags for the school counselor. Immediately, the school counselor realized there was an issue with JJ's Social Security number. After realizing the discrepancy, the counselor did a little digging, and what she found out was shocking. The counselor discovered that the Social Security number that JJ provided for himself belonged to somebody else, a boy named Julian Hernandez. She did a bit more digging and realized that Julian Hernandez was listed as a missing person. To make things even worse, JJ's father's Social Security number belonged to a different person as well, Bobby Hernandez. When Jonathan, aka Bobby, was confronted with the truth, he admitted everything. JJ's mother was not a deadbeat mom who had abandoned her family. It was Bobby who ran and took their son with him, without their son knowing the truth. In the summer of 2002, Bobby and Julian's, that's JJ's mother, had broken up, but they were still living in the same apartment complex called Vestavia Hills. Living so close to one another was very convenient for the former couple to co-parent. But Bobby wasn't happy with the situation. He was angry that JJ's mother had ended their relationship. One afternoon, JJ's mother had a few errands to run, so she asked Jonathan to keep an eye on him while she was gone. Jonathan watched his son often, so that wasn't a strange request. Jonathan agreed, and JJ's mother left. She had no idea that it would be the last time that she would see her son for over a decade. As soon as JJ's mother drove out of the apartment complex, Bobby started working quickly. He packed up his belongings along with his sons, and they went to the bank. There he closed out his accounts, took all the money, and the two hit the road. Bobby wanted to get as far away from Alabama as possible, so they headed to Cleveland, Ohio. When JJ's mother arrived home, she discovered that Bobby's apartment was empty and he and her son were gone. All that was left was a note from Bobby. JJ's mother went to the police to report her son missing. She described her son to the police as a boy with brown hair, big brown eyes, a mild stutter, and a left cheek dimple. Posters with JJ's picture were posted all over town, and internet postings were created with photos of the missing poster. JJ's mother was terrified and devastated. She told the police that she was sure her ex had taken their son as revenge for her ending their relationship. JJ's mother told the police that she never tried to keep Bobby and JJ apart. It was the exact opposite. She made sure that they were living in the same apartment complex so that Bobby could be close to his son and have full access to him. Revenge could have been the only reason for Bobby doing what he did. The police listed JJ as being taken by his non-custodial parent. While JJ's mother was terrified and devastated in Alabama, Bobby, the dad, along with JJ, were taking the 10-hour drive to Cleveland, Ohio to start their new lives. Bobby made fake birth certificates and false identifications for his son so that nobody would ever find them. Bobby told JJ that his mother had abandoned them because she was selfish and flaky. He told his son that she didn't want to be a mother. When the two got to Cleveland, Bobby got a job at a factory. The two started their new lives while JJ's mother was still back in Alabama, refusing to give up on finding her son. The search went on for years, and JJ's mother never gave up. Unfortunately, every lead became a dead end. She had no idea where her ex took her son. Finally, in 2015, there was a break in the case. Thanks to JJ's school counselor, the truth finally came out. Bobby had no choice but to admit that he had taken his son away from his mother when he was only 5 years old. Can you imagine how difficult that must have been for the child? He'd just discovered his whole life had been a lie. For years, his father had told him what a lousy person his mother was. Learning that she was actually looking for him this entire time had to be difficult. Obviously, he loved his father, and he knew how hard his father worked to give him a good life, which kind of left him torn. He couldn't be angry at the only parent he'd ever known. That's a lot for somebody to deal with, especially a teenager. Well, after close to a decade of searching, the police were finally able to make an arrest in the disappearance of Julian Hernandez, a.k.a. JJ. Bobby was arrested on several charges including kidnapping, interference with custody, forgery, and tampering with records. Making false birth certificates for himself and their son was illegal. JJ's mother hired an attorney who told the press that Bobby had taken JJ to get back at his ex for ending the relationship. He told the reporters that because JJ's mother intentionally lived near Bobby, she wasn't trying to keep the father and son apart. It was Bobby who wanted to keep his son away from his mother. Bobby pled guilty, and at his sentence hearing, JJ's maternal grandmother asked to speak. She wasn't speaking on Bobby's behalf, but for her daughter. She asked that the judge give Bobby a sentence that would last as long as she and her daughter's suffering lasted. JJ's maternal grandmother told the judge that they suffered every day he was gone, wondering what had happened to him. Bobby stole all those years from the family, and she wanted him to pay. Bobby's attorney, Ralph DeFranco, defended Bobby by saying that he was an excellent father and was very responsible while raising his son. He told the judge that JJ had a wonderful childhood and that Bobby was the perfect father. He argued that this kind of man didn't deserve to go to prison. During his impassioned plea, JJ's mother and her grandmother were worried that the judge just might fall for Bobby's perfect father act and he'd be free to take their son again and never return. The whole ordeal was hard on everyone, including teenage JJ. JJ was torn. Each day he went to court to see his father wearing an orange prison jumpsuit. This was the man who took care of him while he was sick, made his lunches every day, helped him with his homework. It was hard to think of his father as a criminal. But then there was his mother. This was a woman who was not a flake or a deadbeat despite what his father had told him. She was just a woman whose son had been taken away from her and she desperately wanted him back. This was difficult for JJ to deal with, and through it all, he supported his father. Finally, the day of sentencing came. Bobby and JJ were both hoping the judge would not send Bobby to prison. JJ didn't think his father deserved to go to jail. On the other side of the courtroom, though, JJ's mother and grandmother were hoping that he'd get the punishment he deserved for taking JJ and stealing those years from them. The judge sentenced Bobby to 4 years in prison. The mood in the courtroom was mixed. JJ had no choice but to move on when his father went to jail. He and his mother worked hard to reconnect, and JJ tried to move on with his life. He just wanted life to go back to normal. Despite what his father had done, JJ's love for his father never changed. What do you think the punishment should have been for Bobby, JJ's father? Did he get enough punishment? Not enough? Should he have been punished at all? Tell us in the comments, and subscribe for more.